The title of our third session now, It's Your Turn. It's your turn. We talked about the game, the goal, the prize. We talked about the players. But now we need to know that we need to play the game. If you know all things about the game, I know that, for example, Gabriel, where's Gabe? Gabe. Teaching, yeah. Gabe is an expert on reading rules, manuals, instructions, right? He loves that, right? That's good. But imagine that someone just read the instructions but never play the game, right? So we are here now to say we need to play the game, right? Our text is these 3 verses in Hebrews chapter 12, and we'll read this together. I know you are tired, and I will try to push you to, engage and participate in this moment right now, okay? Otherwise, you will sleep there, and this is not good. You won't play the game. So let's read together. It's here. Therefore, awesome. Let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. The text doesn't say, let's watch with comfort the race that is set before us. The text says, let's run with endurance. First of all, let's understand what race the writer is talking about here, right? You know that the text starts with this word, therefore, which links this passage with the previous one, chapter 11. And when you go there, you see a beautiful chapter in Hebrews chapter 11, talking about many heroes of faith in the Old Testament. He talks about many characters of the Old Testament. And now he says, therefore, considering this, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, what cloud is that? The heroes of faith that he just talked about in chapter 11. And the idea we have here is that he's talking about a relay race. Do you know what's a relay race? This kind of race we have here. When you have the baton and one start running, and then at some point the runner passes the baton to the next one to continue the race, right? The writer here is talking about a race that started there, and they ran, and then now there is this generation. They received the baton. There is 2 assumptions here, very important. The first one is that we receive something from those who came before us, from those who ran before us, who played before us. We received a baton. And then, at some point, after running, we'll pass the baton to the next one. So there are 2 questions here that you can see here. What have we received, and what will we deliver to the next generation? Our kids are there. What are we passing, delivering to them, right? And in between these two times, past and future, we have our race. And here he says, run the race that is set before us. He didn't say, run the race that was set before our fathers, or run the race that is set before our children. No, he's saying, run the race that is set before us today. Run. My first question, and I'll give you 3 minutes for you to discuss where you are now with your friends, is that what does it mean to run the race that's set before us? In a very practical way, because we are talking here about a race. But what race is that, right? So, what does it mean to run the race? What the writer is talking about here when he says, run the race set before us. Okay, so maybe someone there can help us here. What does it mean to run the race set before us? What have you discussed there? How can we respond to that question? What race is that? Okay, here. Is there a microphone here for? Okay, Lucas there, and then we come here. Let's hear. Good, Miriam. Okay, Lucas.
Well, you'll have to keep in mind that this is ancient Rome we're talking about, and they really liked their races. The Olympics were big in ancient Greece, and it got inherited into ancient Rome, and the original Olympic sport was the 500-meter dash. So it was the biggest sport anyone at the time could have thought of. You had like all the classics, like gladiator arenas and lifting heavy rocks, but the race was the most important one. And it helped that there were also a lot of ancient gods like Hermes that are specific for racing. So racing at the time was a pretty huge deal, and everybody would be watching, just as in Hebrews 11 it talked about how the heroes of the Old Testament will be watching us as we do God's will. So the race is a lot of pressure, and a lot of people are expecting us to do good in it. Okay. Thank you, Lucas. Anybody else to Miriam here? I know the initiative of our friend, brother.
Okay, it was a brain of ideas between Tim, Marquesa, Juan, myself. And running the race means lots because it's a narrow path and we need to do our best effort. Is commitment, discipline, continuity, and focus on getting into the end and finish that race.
Right. Now, that's awesome. You talked about the attitude towards the race. Mm-hmm. And this is beautiful. I'll talk about that as well. My question maybe for the next one talking here, what race is that?
I can answer if you want.
Yeah, okay. That's good. Anybody else to talk about the race? What should be this race? There? Oh, here? Here, maybe Luisa here.
It's okay. So we discussed about the race, and Kristen said that sometimes in our Christian lives we give more of ourselves and we have ups and downs. And we also discussed the endurance of Christian life, right? The race of Christian life. And also how we depend on the community, like the picture of the two ladies racing, the relay with the baton. It's not just about us, because sometimes Kristen may be tired and then passes the baton to Deborah, and so on and so forth. So it's the Christian life also with the community, and as Lucas mentioned, the clouds of witnesses.
Good. So you brought the information about race as the Christian life, right? That's good. That's good. Anybody else there? Or Juliana?
We discussed about the life of obedience. We remembered Paul saying that he had run the race, of course, and what it means. And we remember his life of obedience and asking God every day what he should do in everything in his life. So total submission and with perseverance.
Good, good. That's awesome. So I think you guys, all of you got the meaning of this imagery, right? The race. And I remember what the Apostle Paul talked to Timothy. You remember that? Second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7, when the Apostle Paul says, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. The Apostle Paul is talking here about just one thing. He uses 3 different words, but this is just one thing. The good fight, the imagery of fight. I have finished the race, the second image. And then he is more explicit, saying, I have kept the faith. The faith, the Christian faith, is the race. Remember, chapter 11, he talks about faith. He talks about those who ran their lives believing in God, and they paid a high price for that. So he is talking about our faith in Christ, our obedience to Christ, our willingness to go through this way of discipleship and obedience. And then he says, let us run. And he says, with endurance, the race that is set before us. He could say, let us run the race that's set before us. You can understand, right? But he says, let us run with endurance. And this is because he knows, or she, we don't know who wrote the book of Hebrews, that endurance is a very essential quality for those who are running that race. Do you know what's endurance? As I am not an English speaker, this is not my first language, I went to the dictionary and I found this. Endurance is the power to withstand pain or hardship, the ability or strength to continue despite fatigue, stress, or other adverse conditions. This is endurance. And why endurance? Why he says that we need endurance? I can think about 2 things when I think about this race. Number 1, because this is a long distance race. It's a lifelong journey. You cannot start here and, okay, I'll run this race for 2 months. No. This is a commitment for your whole life. Long distance. It's not 100 meters sprint, right? Usain Bolt could fail that race. He is very good in going fast, but the point is not that. The point is going far. So it's a lifelong journey. Because of that, you need endurance. And the second point is that this is a very risky and dangerous race. There are many dangers along the way. There will be opposition, persecution, temptations, discouragement. And then you need to persevere, endurance. And what's the problem when we talk about that today? I'd like to share with you now some information about the time we live in. Because today, when we hear this, we say, oh, this is beautiful, so cute. Let's run the race that's set before us with endurance. This is beautiful. But in fact, the problem is that we want for us something. And you know that? How many of you listen to Shine FM here? Oh, you know that all day you hear that expression, safe and fun for the whole family, right? And the problem is that we want something safe and fun for the whole family. And how we connect a verse like that? Let us run with endurance the race that's set before us, with safe and fun for the whole family. Are you understanding what nothing against, right? We want something like that, safe and fun. But the problem is that we have challenges today with that. We are seeing new social trends. I'd like to share with you some data from this new book called Generations. This is a very, very interesting new book. You see the cover there with hundreds of charts and data, very updated, post-COVID, about the generations. Okay? And I selected some data here to show you, to share with you. And this data is about the Gen Z. How many Gen Zers we have here? If you are between 12 and 25 years, you are Gen Z, right? So we have some Gen Z here, right? But the fact is that these trends, they are not only Gen Zers. They are new trends about the new generations coming that affect us, the old generations, right? Let's first start with this graph. Percent of US 12th graders engaging in adult activities. You see 76, 85 there, the percentage, and you go down until 2020. And the activities are tried alcohol, driver's license, work for pay, sex, every date. If we look this with good eyes, we see, no, this is a good thing, right? The old generations, they made sex with everyone, everywhere, okay? Everything is about sex. Today, they are different. They are not like us in the past, right? But there are some trends here. In the next graphs, charts will show that. But let me talk for the previous one, please. Because when I was reading this chapter, the author said something as an example of this trend. When asked why he didn't get his driver's license right away, 19-year-old Juan, it's not you, another Juan, told me, because my parents didn't push me to get my license. If you are a Gen Xer or a boomer, you probably needed to read that sentence twice to comprehend it. Not that long ago, teens were the ones pushing to get their license, and parents were the ones telling them to wait. But now it's different. The parents they are coming to their 20-year-old kids saying, hey, guy, you need to get your license. And they said, why? Why do I need a driver's license? This is a new trend. It's connected with this second graph, second chart here. Let's look. Percent of US 8th and 10th graders who like doing dangerous things or taking risks. You see the trend? You see the trend between 9-1 and 2021? This is the percentage of teenagers willing to take risks in life. And more than that, we have one more here to show you. You can use of the phrases safe space and stay safe in American books. Look at that. In 60, almost nobody talked about safe space. But today, look at that. Do you think that Shine FM is silly? No. They know what they are doing. They know very well that this word safe is a very important word to sell anything today. It's safe and fun, right? Let's now look to another one. The result of this obsession with safety, right? Percent of US 8, 10, and 12 graders who feel left out or lonely. Often feel left out, often feel lonely. See the trend between 9-1 and 2021. There is a big problem today among our teenagers about the young generation. They are the most anxious generation of all. I have another graph to show you that. Look at that. Percent of US adults not satisfied with life by age group. In 2008, the group 18 to 25 were the most satisfied with life, right? You see here. But today, 2020, after COVID, look at that. There is an inversion in the trends. The young generations, they are not satisfied with life anymore. We have one more here. And now you see the problem in Canada. Percent of 15 to 25 years old who say they are unhappy by country. You see the most unhappy of all? Canada. We have a problem in our backyard. And we are not aware about that. We have a problem, Houston. We have a problem. Ottawa. Yeah, Ottawa, we have a problem here. I decided not showing here the graphs related to suicide, but there are some here. It's very concern, right? What are the new trends? I'll show you in a summary here. New cultural and social trends. Lack of initiative. And this affects everyone. We have today this apathetic generation. We have this scrolling generation, right? We spend more time, and this is not only the young generation. I include myself in that. We spend more time watching trailers than movies. We spend more time trying to find a movie than watching a movie. Because we are this scrolling generation, right? So lack of initiative to take a decision. Deficit of social skills. And I talk about communication, teamwork. Luisa teaches this at Bow Valley. And you know that today there are HR, and maybe Marquesa will know that, HR companies hired by big companies to teach the Gen Z and the other younger generations social skills, soft skills. How to say, hey, when someone say hello, you say, hello, wow. When somebody says something, you respond something, right? Because today people are losing soft skills. And then we have this emotional fragility. And John Piper has a beautiful quote about that. He says in this book, The Roots of Endurance, he says, one of the pervasive marks of our time is emotional fragility. It hangs in the air we breathe. We are easily hurt. We pout and mop easily. We blame easily. We break easily. Our marriages break easily. Our faith breaks easily. Our happiness breaks easily. And our commitment to the church breaks easily. We are easily disheartened. And it seems we have little capacity for surviving and thriving in the face of criticism and opposition. This is our generation. A typical emotional response to trouble in the church is to think, if that's the way they feel about me, then I just find another church. We break easily today. We live today, I don't know if you know that, but we live today the greatest de-churching movement in history. Because we are emotionally fragile. We have mental health problems, anxiety, loneliness, pessimism. All these are marks of our generation. Not only Gen Z, these are new trends. And because of that, we think about this word, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. If I ask you, tell me a moving and very inspiring story of endurance, most likely you tell me, if you know that, a story from the past centuries. Can we remember a story, a real story, inspiring, moving story of endurance in our time today? For sure we have. But in the past, we had so much more. One of these stories is about this guy called Ernest Shackleton. Have you heard about this story? It's considered the greatest story of survival. It was in the beginning of 1910 or 12, something like that. This guy was looking for men, a crew for his expedition in Antarctica. And he puts, and they say this is fake, but let's consider that he puts this announcement in the newspaper. Men wanted for hazardous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. This is a good advertisement? Who of you would accept this challenge? All right? I'm sure, Lucas, you would go there, right? Yeah. But the fact is that we need more stories of endurance. This was a greatest example. You can look after, there are some documentaries on YouTube about this guy and this story. All 28 passengers or crew there, they survived. But it was brutal in Antarctica during winter, right? So there is also another story. You go and you can watch this movie, Unbroken, here. If you watch this movie during the Second War, you will see another huge story of endurance. But I'd like to bring this back for us here and to finish this reflection, this encouragement to you, giving you 4 advices that the book of Hebrews brings in this passage about running that race, keeping the faith. 4 advices for you, very quick. Number 1, like Mauricio told us yesterday, do not run alone. It's too risky to go alone. Do not run alone. The book of Hebrews, chapter 10, says, let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. He's saying, hey, do not run this alone. You'll fail. And when you fail, you need someone beside you to bring you back. Do not run alone. Second advice from this book, travel light. If you go for a long journey, you cannot go super packed, super heavy, because you won't succeed. Let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely. There are many of us running very heavy. We are running attached with bad habits. We are so attached with our comfort life, our addictions, our desires. Then when we need to run the race, we say, oh no, I'm tired, or I'm too busy, or I am too involved with other things, and I cannot. I would like to, I watch, I'll cheer, I'll say, hey, go there. But we don't run because we are heavy. So travel light. Number 3, the third advice, learn from those who came before. This is what he says. He begins chapter 12 saying, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses. It's not the case that they are like Abraham or Moses, Elijah. They are there in heaven looking to us here and say, hey, go there, go there. No, it's not the case. The intention of the writer is that we should consider their example. Every Remembrance Day here in Canada, this is a very important date, we put the red poppy, right? And this has a reason. It's to remember those who fought so we can have freedom today. So the intention of the writer here is the same. They fought the good fight. They ran the race. They kept the faith. And now we are here and we are concerned about something safe and fun for the whole family. We need to consider them and to have endurance in our race. And the last and maybe the most important advice, be inspired by Jesus. The text says, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith. What is the founder and perfecter? What he's saying here is that we cannot start with Jesus because he is the founder, the creator of faith. Sorry. And we cannot finish without Jesus because he is the perfecter. He is the creator. He creates faith. Faith is a gift. It's not something that you create by yourself. No. The Apostle Paul says that the faith is a gift from God to you and to me. He creates faith in us by the word. And he is also the perfecter, because we cannot finish the race. Our faith is imperfect. Our faith is limited. Our faith is temporary. And then we need Jesus with us, perfecting our faith, finishing the race. The Apostle Paul says, Philippians chapter 1, verse 6. There is someone here to read this verse for me, please. Philippians 1, 6. Out loud. That's right, in Portuguese. Someone now in English, that's good. But this was good for those who are here from Brazil. That's right. He who started the good work will complete. This is the same that we read here in Hebrews. He is the founder, the author, and the perfecter of our faith. So be inspired by Jesus. Trust in Jesus. Do not dare to run alone. You have brothers, but above all, you have... Thank you, Miriam. Sister! So, 4 advices. Can we repeat together these advices about running the race? Number 1, do not run alone. How you were running. Number 2, travel light. Travel light. Lay aside every weight and sin. Number 3, and who are they? The church. You know that when we studied theology, we have a distinction. And now is the difficult to say in English, but a igreja militante, como é que eu diria? Militant church, yeah, militant. You understand that? Militant. Militant church, which is each one of us. We are here fighting today. In the triumphant church in heaven, we are the same group, but they already finished the race. Sorry? Harry Hewitt. You know, right? If you are in our church and you have new Harry, you know, he is one that we should consider. Learn from those who came before. Okay? And then the last example, the last advice, sorry. Be inspired by Jesus. It's not your power to persevere. It's not your endurance. It's Jesus working in you. So, I'd like to bring this challenge to you because we've been talking here about the game of life. The game of life. I know that these new trends will push us to our couch, to our bed, to comfort, to something safe and fun. But let me say something. The gospel is everything but safe and fun, because there will be very difficult situations that we need to face in our faith, and we need endurance to go there and to make a difference. Our tendency reading this text is watch the run, the race, or go there and understand the race. But you need to know it's your turn. It's my turn. Let's run the race. Let's play the game, right? This is a challenge for us. Be encouraged by that. Engage yourself. Don't be afraid to run the race, because this is our race. This race, the text says, is set before us. It's our race. It's not our parents' race. It's not our kids' race. You received something at some point at your journey. But the question is, what are you leaving to the next generation? What are we leaving as a church for our next generation? They are there downstairs. What are we leaving for them? Right? What baton will give to them?